Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Lizzie and today we are doing my December TBR. Now, you may remember if you saw my November TBR that it was ambitious, not beyond the realms of possibility, you know, it was ambitious but like within the amount of reading I'd been doing for the past few months. I knew it was going to be a busy month. And it's been crazy. It's been wild. So much has happened in a good way. Being busy is good. I like being busy. But it means that my November TBR has not really been fulfilled. So we're going to go for a slightly smaller TBR this month. And you may see some familiar faces from last month's TBR. So without any further ado, let's get to the books. As always, we're going to start off with my monthly challenges, and the first challenge is the Book Voyage Challenge. December is the final month of the challenge, and so the final prompt is a book that is set across multiple continents. And for this, I'm going to be reading Homegoing by Ya Gyasi. This is a cross-generational story across Ghana and the US across centuries, so very wide kind of breadth. I don't know a huge amount about it beyond that, but I think it's going to be a very sort of fascinating read, and you know, I do like things that have that kind of wide breadth of things that they look at. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to this one. I've heard really good things about it. So yeah. The other monthly challenge I'm doing is the Back to the Classics challenge, and I have two books for this one, because I failed this month. So the first one is The River Between by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, which, if you may remember, was on my November TBR, and I still haven't read. I think it's been on my TBR every single month all year, and I just haven't got around to it. So this month, it has to be because it's the annual challenge and it's December. So we're going to read this one. This is for the prompt of a classic written by a person of colour. So yes, I'm determined to read this in December. I have to, because I've set myself a challenge, and I never back down from a challenge, even if I procrastinate it. The other book I'm going to be reading for this challenge is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I'm going to be listening to the audiobook of this one to give myself a little bit less to read this month. And this is for the prompt of a classic that is comedic or satirical. I was stuck for ages trying to pick a book for this prompt. I think I got kind of hung up on the satire part of the prompt, and the only kind of satirical classics I could think of just didn't interest me. But then I was like, wait, Jane Austen is like the OG rom-com. I can just read a Jane Austen book, another Jane Austen book, because I've already read Jane Austen for one of the other prompts. And I have all the audiobooks because I had like a free credit thing on Audible, so I bought the whole set for 1 credit. And yeah, so I'm going to be listening to Northanger Abbey. Like many people, I will be spending a lot of December in the car, as I sort of travel to different places for Christmas stuff. So yes, I think it's going to be a good way to finish off this challenge without making myself read more kind of heavy books and kind of stressing myself out about it, because reading is fun and challenges are good as long as you're doing them for the right reasons. The final one for the first part of this video is not actually for any challenges or prompts, but basically all year I've been like, I want to read this year, and it's now December, and that is Homer's The Odyssey. And yes, I do have these beautiful Penguin Clothbound Classics editions. I have the matching one of the Iliad, which is flames instead of the ocean, which is currently in my parents' house, but they will be reunited. It's one of the reasons I need to read it, so they can be reunited. I will admit, I have a very shallow reason for wanting to read this year, apart from the fact that I just want to get to it anyway, and that is that on Corpile, which is the spreadsheet that I use to track my reading for the year, I changed my, so all of your statistics come out in little pie charts, and I changed the pie chart for the year that you read it to be a scattergraph like the one on Goodreads. And I already read the Iliad this year, which messed up the whole scattergraph because obviously it was written like 2,000 years before anything else I read this year. It goes like the Iliad, and then Shakespeare, and then Jane Austen, and then like everything else. So I want to read this year so that it doesn't ruin next year's graph as well. I said it was shallow. I said it was shallow. But I do want to read it anyway. I've had these on my shelves, this and the Iliad on my shelves, for years and years and years. And I enjoyed the Iliad much more than I thought I would. I thought it would be one I read for kind of academic interest, but I actually enjoyed the sort of the reading experience and the story. So yes, need to read this one next month as well. The rest of the books on my TBR are all arcs that I got from various places, and I've got fewer this month. That was part of the reason my November TBR was huge, is, as we all know, I sometimes go on late night NetGalley sprees and it never ends well. So I've been much more controlled, partly because I'm still ploughing through the previous pile. But I guess the nice thing about NetGalley is that, you know, it's good to get things out by the date the publishers want them, but if it's late, it's late, that's fine. So yeah, a few things will be a few months after they were supposed to be read by. But the next book on my TBR is not actually from NetGalley, it was sent to me by the author, and that is The Quid Pro Quo by A.L. Lester. This is I believe a cosy murder mystery set in the 20s, I think, with queer main characters. So I think the main characters are both men in a relationship. One is a cis man and one is a trans man, and there's also a side couple, this other couple who are like main characters who are a sapphic couple. And I think this is the sequel. So the first one was about the other couple, and this is kind of a sequel, but the kind where you don't have to read the first one. Like, it's the same characters and setting, but apart from that, they're like separate stories. I don't really read many murder mysteries, but this one just looks really lovely and cozy, and we all know that I love anything queer. I love reading queer books, so I'm always looking for new things that I haven't come across before. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. The next one, and if I don't get to this one, it's not the end of the world, because it was an unsolicited arc, so you know, if I don't read it, it's fine. And that is The Red Button by Keith Eldred, and this is, I believe, kind of a prequel to A Christmas Carol, which is why I've saved it for December, because it's very festive. And this is about Scrooge before he was synonymous with hating Christmas, and his kind of romance and how that jaded him and made him hate all things fun. The final book on my December TBR is Young Man by Lou Sullivan. This is a collection of memoirs and letters and journal entries, etc. from Lou Sullivan, who was a real person. And he was an LGBT rights activist in San Francisco in the sort of early days of LGBT rights as we know them today. So again, very kind of insightful into that part of history. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating read and heartbreaking at times. But yes, I think it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much for joining me for my December TBR. We managed to keep it a little bit smaller than my November one, so hopefully I'll have more success at completing this one. Let me know what you're planning on reading in December. Do you like to read sort of festive books, or do you just carry on reading and cramming in the things that you want to read before the end of the year? Let me know in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Bye!